So, Shumita, coming back to the book itself, Master Laster, I'm assuming that it's a play on the words Master Blaster.
Yeah.
So, as I mentioned just before we started this interview, that I actually love to read multiple books concurrently. And I had a choice between reading Master Laster or Ben Stokes' autobiography On Fire or Marcus Scofick's autobiography, and all three were brilliant books, but it was your book Master Laster that I finished first, even though I had started it way after I had started the other books. I just couldn't put it down because it was quite the page turner. But for our viewers and listeners who haven't actually read the book yet, can you just tell us what the book is actually about and what the title is actually supposed to mean?
So the book is a myth buster, and that's why the title. Mythbuster, in the sense, what's the myth that it busts? It busts the myth that Sachin is the god of Indian cricket. I mean, that's what he's referred to, isn't it? So I found, especially in the second half of his career, and you know, through many crucial matches, and being a very passionate follower of cricket, it always got my goat that he was often a self-serving god, and nobody talks about it, right? Because I mean, everyone talks about it, but nobody talks about it on the record. And you know, the myth busting thing came up because in sports journalism there's a lot of fawning, and some of it you can understand because people need interviews, people need to be invited to events, to matches and all that. And here's this person, who is being built up so much. And sports marketing is a huge thing, right? You want to build up a character into a larger than life figure because that's what draws eyeballs, and that perception kind of becomes the reality, you know and and even those who worship heroes, it's like Marvel comics. You want to sort of, because you can't do it yourself, maybe you want to feel that somebody is superhuman, right? Cricket is all about talking, right? You want to talk about tactics, strategies, persons, weaknesses, strengths. Really sit down to talk about it. It would keep coming up, Sachin being quite self-serving a lot of the times, going after milestones. And nobody would talk about it, and people would keep saying, they would sense this, but they wouldn't know exactly how to pin it down. So at one point, I decided, there's enough of debate over this. Let me sit down, and because in an article you can't really, there'll always be holes, there'll always be counter arguments. So I wanted to put that point across very strongly and with data. I don't think there is any personal dig I've taken at Tendulkar in the entire book. I felt that it at least one person had to put it all down, right? Because nobody would in the sports journalism sector, nobody would really do that. So because there's so many instances where, and the legions of fans, right, all wanting India to win, all cheering for him, and here's this guy going after a milestone with almost no regard for what the team required at a particular stage of a game. And there's so many instances of that I thought it had to be nailed. And that's the intention of the book. In other sports also, like football, say, once upon a time, people would not pass, right? They would go for the goal themselves. Then the concept of the assist came in, which was given almost equal credit as the striker, right? Mm-hmm. So in a team game, that is what you have to do. You have to sacrifice your self-interest at some points for the larger team goal. I mean, literally goal. So anyway, so I hope I've been able to express what I set out to do in the book.